This must just be like a 2019 thing, but I always feel like I'm mad about something. Hi, my name is Sydney, welcome back to my channel. This week, a story started circulating that made me mad. Hey guys, it's Sydney from the future here. I just wanted to highlight that I did in fact film this video when this situation was actually unfolding, but then I got sick and then didn't edit this video for a couple days. So now it's actually not happening in the last week, but probably happened about 10 days ago. I don't really know if you needed to know that, but I guess you do now, so yeah, we're just gonna go back to the video. That's all. I mean, honestly, at this point, what doesn't make me mad? Everything does, apparently. I don't even know why I asked. But the reason this particular situation lit my angry fires is because of the way the media dealt with it. Like dishonest morons. That's how they dealt with it, in case you were wondering. So as long as I have to suffer through this, you too have to suffer through this. So we're going to explore that. So a new story started circulating about a young black girl in Virginia who had her dreadlocks cut off, allegedly, by 3 white male classmates. Why don't you sit down and get your popcorn? 'Cause you know this is gonna be a wild ride. A black middle school student from Virginia is accusing 3 white boys of pinning her down and cutting off her dreadlocks. The incident took place at Emmanuel Christian School, where Vice President Mike Pence's wife, Karen Pence, is a teacher. Oh my, that's hot. Oh, actually, that is hot. Nearly as hot as the race baiting in this story.
But Wednesday, Amari Allen finally decided to tell her story. She says she was on the playground at Emmanuel Christian School in Springfield when she says 3 white students held her against her will and cut her dreadlocks.
They put my hands over my back, put the hand over my mouth, and so they started to cut my hair.
All the while, the 12-year-old says the boys called her hair ugly and nappy.
So when this story hit the news, people were upset, and rightly so. I mean, if someone tried to hold me down and cut my hair off, I would not be happy. I'm like most women. Do you want to lose your hands? Do you want to go for a swim with rocks in your pockets? Okay, don't touch my hair. And of course, there is a racial factor here. You have a black student who is allegedly being bullied by white students. So really, this is exactly the kind of story that makes the mainstream media foam. And that's exactly the problem, because this story never happened. Girl accuses classmates of cutting off her dreadlocks. Later recants her story. You want to know what my watch has in common with this story? They're both fake. That's the joke you're going with. Of all the ones in this situation that are way funnier than that one, that is what you're, oh my god, you need assistance. Following an investigation by the Fairfax County Police Department, Amari Allen, the student who accused 3 of her classmates of assault, acknowledged the accusations were not true. The problem for me when it comes to these stories is that once they hit the internet, the damage is already done. Once a news publication puts something like this out, it proliferates as more and more news organizations and outlets pick up the story and run with it. And honestly, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Everybody wants the scoop, and every journalist wants to be the first person on the scene covering the fake news story. And truthfully, that's part of what makes me so mad. The process of verification, fact-checking, and fact-finding has completely gone out the window. Really, it's just like throwing everything out the window. It's just like, haha, bye-bye, integrity. And then you become the New York Times. The media instead rushes to publish stories that are verifiably untrue with 0 repercussions. Let's just casually forget about the fact that the families of the boys who were accused in this particular situation are probably getting death threats as we speak. In the end, we, the consumer, are left to suffer through this social, cultural, racial divide that keeps growing day by day. I don't know about you, but I did not sign up for this. Another fantastic example of exactly what we're talking about here is an article published by the New York Times about Brett Kavanaugh. It recently published a sexual misconduct accusation, but failed to mention that the victim mentioned in the story doesn't actually remember it happening. It was only after backlash that they added a sad editor's note right at the bottom of the article. Because, like, too little, too late, am I right? An earlier version of this article, which was adapted from a forthcoming book, did not include one element of the book's account regarding an assertion by a Yale classmate that friends of Brett Kavanaugh pushed his penis into the hand of a female student at a drunken dorm party. The book reports that the female student declined to be interviewed, and friends say that she does not recall the incident. That information has been added to the article. Write an article about a story with no facts facts or verification. About a person who doesn't want to be interviewed. About an incident she can't recall. Ah yes, don't worry about any of that, let's just publish!
I think what happened actually was that, we had her name, and the Times doesn't usually include the name of the victim. And so I think in this case, the editors felt like maybe it was probably better to remove it. And in removing her name, they removed the other reference to the fact that she didn't remember it.
But we see this kind of thing happening time and time again. In fact, the Daily Caller did a great job of compiling a list of these fake hate crimes and fake hoaxes that the media picked up and ran with. And there are way more than you would expect.
Why you always lying?
Most notably, many of you will remember the case of Jussie Smollett. His name even makes him sound like a total peanut. Yeah, remember him? The actor who faked his own hate crime, blamed Trump supporters, and then was found out, and then absolutely nothing happened to him? Yeah, him. 'Cause that's showbiz, baby. I mean, seriously, look at this absolute potato. Why is the noose still around your neck when you're standing in your apartment? What even is this? Please stop. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment. The media loved this story, and it circulated and dominated the newssphere for weeks. But when it turned out to be a nothing burger, nobody admitted fault, nobody retracted their stories, and nobody did anything about the mass amount of misinformation that was on the internet. It just faded to nothingness. Like Hillary Clinton's emails. The reality, for me at least, is that people who fake hate crimes against themselves or make up these kind of stories deserve their own unique sort of punishment. Like being scalped or something. What in the hell is wrong with you? These journalists, on the other hand, receive nothing. Nothing happens to them for being dishonest or for publishing stories that they haven't properly investigated. So yeah, I get kind of frustrated when I see one story put out about a particular topic, then wait a couple days and see a new story telling us that the first one was untrue, which could have all been avoided had they just properly investigated it the first time. Like, this isn't hard. Nothing about this is difficult. It's not like you're playing with, like, magma, or trying to build a space station, or doing brain surgery. No one is asking you, Karen, to do open heart surgery on a news article. They just want you to write down some facts. Wow, I am getting a little carried away. I might need a hug. The reality is that sometimes journalists just get it wrong. Even when they do their absolute best to research and investigate a story properly, they're still human and they still make mistakes. Some are humans, some are reptiles, but mostly they're humans. And I've said this more than once, but I'm gonna say it again. The primary job and function of journalism and news is to fact check, verify, and tell the truth. Do we get that? No, Sydney, no, we don't. We did see your order, but we don't have any of that in stock. Instead, we don't just get rubbish, we get the written equivalent of Los Angeles. The New York Times is the homelessness problem of media. Everyone wants to fix it, but the joke I want to make here is completely inappropriate. And this is why people don't trust the media. And for once, it's not just me saying that, but research backs this up as well. The majority of people don't trust the media, including 9 out of 10 Republicans. And the reason for this, at least for most people, is a result of inaccuracy, bias, fake news, and alternative facts. No, really, gee, I can't imagine why. From one particular study, 71% of respondents say that transparency is very important. And similar percentages say the same about an organization providing fact-checking resources and providing links to research and facts that back up its reporting. And generally, from most other pieces of research, this seems to be true across the board. Personally, something I find super interesting about all of this is that while the majority of people are distrusting of the media, they still trust particular organizations and outlets that they find trustworthy. Basically, they trust media outlets that they like, which basically gives those media organizations a free pass. So that kind of means that if you like CNN, but CNN are still liars, it means that you probably won't notice that they're liars and you'll keep trusting them. Now that I think about that, that's a pretty grim prospect, honestly. As per usual, as I was researching for this video, I came upon an article that I thought made a very good point. Bad news sells, good news is censored, and celebrity gossip trumps important issues. Bad news does sell, or in this case, Outrage sells. Why properly verify a story when you can simply just publish about a young girl who had her dreadlocks cut off? Because, like, outrage. That'll make people mad. That results in more clicks, in more interaction, in more shares, in more conversation. And celebrity gossip, well, yeah, we heard way more about how Sam Smith, who is a singer, just by the way, for those of you who are gonna ask me, who no one cares about, is now a they, more than we heard about the Hong Kong protesters who were being shot in Hong Kong. So most of the time at the end of my videos, I try to say something either helpful or sassy, because I am both helpful and sassy. But in this case, I don't really have anything of that nature to add here. Instead, I mostly just want to address the dishonesty in the media, and somehow keep talking about this in order to find a way to make journalists accountable for the things that they do and say, and the misinformation that they spread. Without going full burn the witch on the situation. So it goes without saying, but make sure that you question everything that you see, read, and hear on the internet, because the truth is that you never know which core information has been left out of a story in order to push a particular agenda or paint a story in a particular light. And as for me, your favorite half-breed, I will always try to be upfront and honest with you when I am being biased, which I do sometimes because I too am a human being and not a reptile. So in the case of the New York Times article, and even this recent story about the young girl with the dreadlocks, it is very clear that the media will do particular things with information in order to push an agenda. And it is up to the individual to be able to discern which information is true and which information is not. That all being said, what do you all think? Do you believe that the media is dishonest? What do you think of publishing stories without all the facts? And do you think that there should be ramifications for news organizations when they are dishonest? As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just be respectful about it. And I will see you guys next time.